All right, guys. Welcome to the show. Welcome to another episode of Black People Kind of News, episode 4. We are discussing today some very interesting stories. We're going to make this a relatively quick show. We want to get you the news. We want to get you the news and get you back to your day. So, first story is going to be NYPD cop claims officers' friends and family were given courtesy cars to get out of tickets. Officer Matthew Bianchi claims that he was punished for not honoring unofficial courtesy cars that allow friends of NYPD cops to get out of traffic tickets. Oh boy, that is a spicy meatball. That is spice. Oh boy, that is spicy. He is coming out full. My man coming in hot. He said, "Oh, wait a minute. These officers, they're just punishing me because I didn't want to give their friends and family, I didn't want to give their friends and family some unfair treatment. I want to actually punish these officers and their families for speeding." And it's very fascinating what ends up happening to this man when he's a good officer, when he's a good cop. That is fascinating. So this man saying that the NYPD has a special program, whereas if you're the friend or family member of police officers, you could just get away with stuff. You don't have to actually follow the law. You could disregard the law. You don't have to just obey the law. Oh man, that's interesting. That's interesting because I was always under the impression that Blue Lives Matter and everybody who supports police officers, there was always for just obeying the law. So is it rules for me but not for thee? Is that how this works? I'm just curious because I want to get into this particular news article here. A scandal has rocked the New York Police Department as Officer Matthew Bianchi filed a lawsuit against the force for its alleged favoritism of officers' friends and families. Specifically, Bianchi claims that police unions demand that cops' friends and families be excused from receiving traffic tickets. The officer claims that he was punished for being transferred to nighttime patrol for giving tickets to reckless drivers who tried to avoid punishment. These drivers were attempting to use something called a courtesy card, reports the New York Daily News. In his lawsuit, Bianchi claims that the cards were handed out to NYPD officers in order to then be disseminated to their friends and family. Drivers who showed the cards to officers would be given preferential treatment and frequently allowed them to leave without a ticket. The laminated cards are allegedly printed out and distributed every year by the 5 police unions and come with no formal instructions. However, such is the expectation that people bearing them will be let off. That Bianchi claims he was punished for not honoring them. Oh, so he's saying that there are special courtesy cards that are given out to family members of NYPD officers, and he didn't want to honor them. He wanted to give the same tickets that he would give to any other to basically any other citizen. And he was punished for not honoring this. That is fascinating. The trouble started for Bianchi back in 2017 in a traffic stop. He pulled over a woman for speeding and also running a red light. She showed him a courtesy card and he gave her a speeding ticket, but now he gave her a ticket for speeding, but he let her off with a warning for running the red light. So he was actually courteous there, right? Despite being shown leniency, the woman complained, and the person from whom she received the card told Bianchi he was wrong to not honor it. His union then allegedly told him he would be in trouble if he continued to not honor those cards. After that, Bianchi says he came under intense scrutiny and was told he could be punished if he continued to flout convention. Wow. Then in August, he wrote a ticket to a woman who did not present him with the courtesy card. I want y'all to tap the screen and make sure you guys share this stream, man, because this is right here is just fascinating, man. Fascinating stuff, man. Crazy stuff, yo. Despite that, he alleges that it was later revealed to him that she was related to an NYPD chief of department. Days later, he was transferred to regular patrol on the 4 to midnight shift. Wow. Wow. And here's some other tidbits, right? Check this out. Although the cars depend on the discretion of officers to let people go, something that they are allowed to exercise, Bianchi's allegations suggest that the pattern of not punishing people related to the NYPD is not just a courtesy, but a requirement. So they're saying, hey, it's a courtesy card. You don't have to honor it, but when he didn't, he got punished for it. The suit comes more than a decade after the NYPD was stained by a scandal in which 16 officers were indicted for fixing traffic tickets. Bianchi claims that this is the solution to the scandal, since it means that they simply aren't tickets to make disappear. According to John Scala, Bianchi's lawyer, the problem with these alleged allegations runs deeper than simple favoritism. Oh. So his lawyer says, quote, many of these people are driving recklessly again and again. They're a danger to everyone on the road, but rather than protect the community from these recidivist offenders, the NYPD chose to retaliate against my client and derail his career. So the NYPD right now, they are giving out courtesy cards to their friends and family members to get out of traffic tickets, and when officers don't honor these cards, they're punished. That's crazy, bro. And this is over here in the Associated Press too. See? It's in the Associated Press too. That's crazy. Right? A New York City police officer is speaking out against the use of courtesy cards by friends and relatives of his colleagues on the force, accusing department leaders of maintaining a sprawling system of impunity that lets people with a connection to law enforcement avoid traffic tickets. Though not officially recognized by the NYPD, the laminated cards have long been treated as a perk of the job. The city's police unions issue them to members who circulate them among those who want to signal their NYPD connections, often to get out of minor infraction like speeding or failing to wear a seatbelt. In a federal lawsuit filed in Manhattan this week, Officer Matthew Bianchi described a practice of selective enforcement with consequences for officers who do not follow the unwritten policy. Current and retired officers now have access to hundreds of cards, giving them away in exchange for a discount on a meal or a home improvement job, he said. This sounds like a deep dive I gotta do. This sounds wild. Yo, do you understand what this officer is claiming? This NYPD officer is saying they're giving out courtesy cards to NYPD officers' friends and their families. And when officers don't honor them, they're punishing the officers. And the officers who are giving out these cards, these laminated cards, they're giving them out in exchange for all kinds of favors like meals and stuff. Like, hey, if you give me this meal, I'll give you this card and you can get out of traffic tickets and speeding tickets. Yo, that's actually a major corruption story, actually. That's actually a major corruption story, actually. That's crazy, bro. Yo, that's wild. You gotta admit it. That's wild. Yo, that's wow. Let's get into some more news, some non-cop news for a second. We're gonna jump back into the cops, but we gotta talk about something else. The dominant society always says that our men are so bad and everything, right? But we find out that that 70s show star, Danny Masterson has been found guilty of being a predator 20 years later. Wow. Danny Masterson. That 70s show is now forever stained due to this man. Danny Masterson. We are always told that black men are so dangerous, right? We are always told that black men are the ones you gotta look out for, right? We're always told that, right? We're always told that. It's always portrayed as that. And yet look at stories like this. See, what is that what you're saying? That 70s show is now forever stained, man. It looks like this is not a brother. It's like it's one of those people from the dominant society. It's not one of us. You know, you got white women who are clutching their freaking purses and everything else. Oh, the black man's gonna get me. It actually not the black man in most of these cases. I can tell you that for a fact. Let's get deeper into this story, man. I want to get into this one because now I actually like that 70s show. I actually did. And this ruins it for me now. A Los Angeles jury convicted actor Danny Masterson on 2 of 3 essay charges on Wednesday, capping a contentious retrial filled with graphic testimony and the looming influence of the Church of Scientology. So, oh boy, the Church of Scientology was involved. My. Jurors who deliberated for 8 days were hung on the third count of essay. Masterson, 47, is now staring down a maximum sentence of 30 years behind bars, 15 each per conviction. Wow. The minimum sentence for this kind of crime in California is 3 years. So you can get a minimum of 3 years in California. What? That's insane. So 3 years for that kind of crime? Hold on, excuse me. Kamala Harris was having people locked up for years. Years upon years upon years for having the green stuff. But for this kind of crime, you can get a minimum of 3 years? Whoa, that's scary. That's scary. That 70s show star was reportedly handcuffed at the defense table and held there as spectators in the courtroom actually filed out on Wednesday. He will remain in custody until his sentencing hearing on August the 4th. Relatives of Masterson reportedly fought back tears in the public gallery after the verdict was read. His wife became so emotional that a judge threatened to remove her if she couldn't stay composed. Wow. Allegedly on her part, but it's no longer alleged with this man. He did it. He was convicted. Each of Masterson's 3 accusers alleged that Masterson essayed them in the early 2000s after he slipped some substances into their drinks. Prosecutors said the victims were fearful of coming forward initially because the Church of Scientology, of which Masterson and the victims were members, forced them to stay silent. So the Church of Scientology forced these women to stay silent, even though this man is a predator. The LAPD began investigating Masterson back in 2016, but formal charges didn't come until 2020. Masterson went to trial last fall, but jurors were deadlocked and the mistrial was declared. Reports at the same time said a majority of the jurors were in favor of acquitting Masterson on all counts. 5 months after the hung jury, Masterson's retrial began in late April. Prosecutors' arguments were largely the same, with the added emphasis that Masterson's 3 accusers became dizzy and discombobulated after they were served drinks by the actor, and that's when he assaulted them. Wow. So this guy has been convicted. In the Church of Scientology, these victims were also members of the Church of Scientology. They tried to force them to become silent. See, this is the kind of news that black people need to be aware of, so that when the dominant society tells you that, oh, black culture is bad culture, you can turn around and says, excuse me, he's one of yours. Excuse me, he's one of yours. Them there, right there, he yours. Ross here says that's scary and probably very accurate. Yeah, about the NYPD. That's some serious gang activity. from the NYPD. Absolutely. Ross also says Scientology got involved too. Did they give him a courtesy card? Oh, Lord. Oh, I like what you did there, Ross, but this is not a funny story. This is crazy, though. This is crazy because this changes a lot, man. This also shows white privilege, right? Because this guy originally was going to get off on all the charges, but then they presented the exact same arguments in court as the last time, right? Except the prosecutors just said the exact same thing, and they just emphasized the truth. Hey, this guy slipped something into these women's drinks and did something against their will. And now he's looking at some serious time. He's looking at 30 years, potentially. I don't think he's gonna get that. I want everybody to make sure you tap in the stream. Make sure you guys are sharing the stream, because this kind of stuff you won't see discussed a whole lot of places, man. I want to see this stuff put out there, because every time a black man so much as even sneezes wrong, right? You see people with news article after news article. You see people coming after Kyrie Irving over a freaking tweet, right? But you don't see them overemphasize stuff like this. You know, you see tweets from Kyrie Irving, you see words from Kanye West, and then you get people saying, well, we got to have a conversation to black people, right? Well, what kind of conversation does the dominant white society need to have where they keep having guys like this? And if you think this is some unknown case, let me show you something real quick, right? Let me give you some proof real quick. One of my friends who I follows specializes in finding people who do stuff just like this, right? So it's one of my good friends. Her name is Bex. You should give her a follow, right? I'm gonna show you this is not unusual with the dominant white society, and specifically white men who do stuff like this, right? I'm gonna show you. This guy here, a federal grand jury has returned a 2-count indictment against a former California deputy sheriff, Timothy Durrell, charging him with the receipt and possession of CP. Right? So let's go ahead and look at the DOJ statement about this guy. The DOJ put out a statement about this guy. Let's go ahead and look at this, right? So I want you to see how often cops do stuff like this, and how often white men in particular do stuff like this. They love demonizing black men, right? But I want to show you the true face of this kind of crime, right? And it's not us. It's never been us. It ain't never been us. Right? It ain't never been us. This guy's a California deputy sheriff, right? Right? So, former California deputy sheriff in California, Roseville man indicted for receiving and possessing CP. This is put out by the U.S. Attorney's Office, Eastern District of California. A federal grand jury returned a 2-count indictment last week against Timothy James Durrell, a former sheriff's deputy of Roseville, charging him with the receipt of CP and possession of CP, according to the U.S. Attorney Philip A. Talbert. According to court documents, between July 2013 and March of 2021, Durrell received depictions of that stuff, horrible material, and he possessed the CP between July 2012 and February of 2021. This case is a product of the investigation by the Department of Homeland Security Investigations and the Assistant U.S. Attorney Roger Yang, who is prosecuting this case. If convicted, Durrell faces a maximum statutory penalty. He faces a maximum of 20 years in prison and a fine of up to $250,000. And he's also facing a maximum of 10 years in prison, additionally, and a fine of up to $250,000 for having the CP. So the receipt of it is 20 maximum, and the possession of it is 10 maximum. Mind you, he's innocent until proven guilty. Innocent until proven guilty, right? But he's a former sheriff's deputy, y'all. This dude was a cop. My man was a cop. Yo, homie was a cop. I'm not kidding. Look, homie was a cop. And it gets worse, y'all. Yo, so it was known this man was a freaking predator, right? So former deputy who got his job back after previous conviction decades ago, right? Indicted on CP charges. So this guy was going through a woman's underwear drawer. He was caught doing that and he was acquitted of those charges. And then decades later, he was found with CP. This sheriff's deputy. That's wild, yo. Bruh. Okay, so let's actually get into this. This was actually published on May 25th. So recently published. From badge to busted. From badge to busted. A former Sacramento County Sheriff's deputy was indicted on federal CP charges, and it comes 2 decades after the same deputy was convicted in another criminal case, but was able to get his job back. He was convicted in the other case, but got his job back. These new federal charges showed this former deputy, Timothy James Durrell, was in possession of CP dating back 10 years. 10 years he had it. It follows an earlier criminal history that was reported by our own station 20 years ago. In 2004, CBS 13 aired a report on Deputy Durrell's criminal record. Then, reporter John Beard reported, quote, "When is it fair to fire a deputy? That's the big question," after a civil service commission ordered the rehiring of Deputy Timothy Durrell, end quote. That report shows Durrell was fired and then rehired following a conviction of trespassing, searching through a woman's dresser drawers he was romantically interested in. He was convicted and he got his job back, and then later on he had CP. Yo! Share this stream. Share this stream, yo! This is wild. Where else on the internet are you getting news like this, back-to-back news that you care about, but stuff that you should know about? The people need to know about this stuff. How many cops are on duty just like him? Yo! That's crazy. So, once again, let me just give you a quick recap. You got a former sheriff's deputy in California named Timothy James Durrell, who was convicted of a crime of going through a woman's underwear drawer that he was interested in. He was convicted of that crime in court, but he was brought back on the job. He was ordered back. He was forced to be hired back as a sheriff's deputy, and then 2 decades later, he was caught with CP, and now he is on trial for federal CP charges. Yo! Bruh! Share the stream. Everybody who's watching right now, share this stream on every social media platform you got. We gotta know about this kind of stuff, man. This is crazy. This is crazy. And since somebody posted, not a drag queen. Yeah. Oh. Yo, that is crazy. A former sheriff's deputy who was convicted of going through a woman's underwear drawer, who wasn't fired, who was brought back on the job 2 decades later, this man was caught with CP. That is crazy. That is wild. What? And then we got another story here that we want to follow. Over here in Massachusetts, Fall River Police, right? Fall River Police Department. This guy here, man. This dude here. Oh boy, here. Former police officer found guilty in first of 3 excessive force cases. This police officer is so bad in Massachusetts, right? This guy is facing 3 separate excessive force cases. I want y'all to hear this, man. Fall River Police Department, man, this is crazy. This man is facing 3 separate excessive force cases, and he's been found guilty in one of them already.
Officer has been found guilty of a number of charges, including assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, witness intimidation, and filing false reports. This is according to our reporting partners at the Herald News. Michael Pessoa has been out on bail since he was indicted back in June of 2019 on 15 counts, accused of assaulting 4 men in separate incidents. One case was dismissed, so this trial was the first of 3 that he will face. Pessoa will be sentenced next week.
That's crazy, isn't it? So this officer, man, he's facing 3 separate excessive force jobs. He's facing 3 separate excessive force trials, and he's already been found guilty in one of them. Let's get into the story, man. I want to discuss this. This guy's name is Michael Pessoa, right? A former Fall River police officer has been found guilty in the first of 3 trials he is facing over claims he used excessive force while working in the Massachusetts city. Michael Pessoa, 44, was convicted by a jury early Wednesday afternoon on charges of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, witness intimidation. So he's out here intimidating witnesses, civil rights violations, and filing false reports, according to the Herald News, a WCVB media partner. A 19-year veteran of the Fall River Police Department, Pessoa was previously indicted on 15 counts in June 2019 for allegedly assaulting 4 men, all of whom were in custody in separate incidents. One case was dismissed, and Bristol County Superior Court Judge Renee Dupree ordered the remaining cases be separated. Bristol County DA Thomas Quinn III told the Herald News that his office will be pursuing the 2 other pending cases. Pessoa had been out of jail, had been out on bail since his June 2019 indictment, but Dupree revoked his bail, and the former officer was taken out of the courtroom in handcuffs following a 5-day trial. Wow. So there was footage. There was 4 separate witnesses. Wow. That is crazy. So this officer has been found guilty in one of 3 excessive force cases. This dude is in some hot water, yo. Hot water, bro. They ain't playing with this cop, yo. They ain't playing with this man. I want y'all to hear this again, man. I want y'all to hear this again, man, because they ain't playing with this dude, yo. They about to send him away, yo. They about to send this dude away
A
for
former
real.
Fall River police officer has been found guilty of a number of charges, including assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, witness intimidation, and filing false reports. This is according to our reporting partners at the Herald News. Michael Pessoa has been out on bail since he was indicted back in June of 2019 on 15 counts, accused of assaulting 4 men in separate incidents. One case was dismissed, so this trial was the first of 3 that he will face. Pessoa will be sentenced next week.
Oh, which means he'll be sentenced next week. Meaning he's going to prison by. My man going to prison by. Oh, Jermaine J, you live in Fall River? What's going on, Jermaine? Yo, Michael Pessoa, yo, the kid, man. The kid Michael Pessoa, he going away for a while, huh? Your boy Michael Pessoa, he going away for a while, huh? Oh man. They say this man assaulted 4 men. Dang. We got another cop here, man. We got another one here, man. We got another oinker here, man. We got another oinker here, man. This comes from Houston, man. We got another real oinker here, man. Yo, I know that ain't your boy. What's going on, Cap? What's going on, man? I'm just joking with you, man. Ain't your boy. I know you ain't claim him. I know Fall River, y'all don't claim him. Oh Lord. Let's get into this, man. So Former Arcola cop convicted of destroying records of traffic stop involving a woman who alleged that he engaged in some predator behavior. Hector Aaron Ruiz was convicted of destroying records of 2 traffic stops involving women who accused him of essaying them. He was acquitted on 1 count involving a essay, and the jury deadlocked on the second woman's allegations. But he's been convicted. This police officer. Let's go through some of the comments here. Lucas says, and it's harder to get the job than for cops. Twana Dobbs says, hey friend, I made sure I keep up with you. Congratulations on the beautiful baby. Absolutely, thank you so much. Says, no, wow, yeah, stuff gets wild, man. Nikki 6 says, oh, never mind. Jermaine J says, I live in Fall River. Jermaine says, Jay also says, what's going on, Captain? Laugh out loud. He ain't my boy. I hear you. Man, but this guy here, man, this is a cop. Hector Aaron Ruiz, who was out here assaulting women. He was essaying women. He should be on Chris Hansen's couch. This guy should be on Law and Order SVU. And he was a cop. A jury Friday found a former Arcola police officer guilty of obstructing, destroying, and altering records in a 2019 during a traffic stop involving a woman who accused the officer of essaying her. The jury found Hector Ruiz not guilty of essaying a woman in August of 2019, and the jury is deadlocked on the charge that he essayed another woman during a traffic stop 3 months later. Wow. But a jury has found him guilty. They're going to retry the defendant, this guy, on the other things, but they did find him guilty of destroying records involving that. They're saying that he didn't essay the woman, or there was not enough evidence, but they did find evidence that he did destroy records. So why would you destroy records, right? Right? Why would you destroy records if you didn't do it? What kind of a jury is gonna not find this guy guilty of essaying these women, but they do find him guilty of destroying the records and the evidence that would point towards him doing that? Why would you destroy records of something that you didn't do? The jury is deadlocked when there's a second victim who came forward saying that he did the exact same thing, and it's just 3 months later. Why would these women be lying, right? Right? Why would these women be lying, but then this man goes around and destroys records? Was there evidence of any kind of contact? If there's any kind of evidence of contact involving something that's inappropriate that would require him to take off his uniform in any kind of way, that was a traffic stop. So why would there be evidence of that? You are not supposed to be doing that while you are on duty, right? At all. Are you saying that there's a way that he could be that you could be having those kind of consensual activities while you're on duty as a police officer? No. So how can he be found not guilty of those crimes, but then be found guilty of destroying the evidence? This is crazy. This is basically how police officers who are predators get away with stuff, right? They'll be convicted. They will be convicted of the smaller offenses, right? But then the actual offenses that will get them a life sentence, they walk away. This should outrage every American. The fact you got a police officer out here essaying women on the streets. You got women who can no longer feel safe because this guy has faced little to no charges. The most serious charges, he won't do any time for. He will only be convicted of destroying records of evidence, but not of the evidence. I want you to sit back and think about this for a second. Not one, but two women accused this man of a very serious crime, one of the worst crimes, and in some people's views, the worst crime you can commit. Not one, but two women accused this man of this. This guy is a police officer, Hector Aaron Ruiz. He's convicted of destroying evidence involving traffic stops where this man allegedly assaulted these women. How do you convict a man for destroying evidence of a crime, but not the actual crime itself? That's how little this country values women over police officers. Every woman should be outraged with this story. Every woman should be outraged. Every woman should be up in arms about this story. Every woman in America should be outraged with this story. Every woman should be on the streets right now demanding that this guy be convicted of both of those counts, the other counts. The victims deserve justice. How do you convict a man for destroying evidence of a crime, but not the actual crime itself? That is absurd. But it's typical when it comes to Blue Lives Matter. It's typical. Cops get away with any kind of crime. It doesn't matter if they essay a woman or a kid. It doesn't matter. They can get away with it. Because once you put on that badge, you have complete immunity from law. You can do whatever you want. And guess what? The reason why cops act like they are above the law is because they are treated like they are above the law. As you can see, stories like this should alarm everybody. Everyone. Because you will back the blue until it happens to you. And that's all I got for today, guys. Until next time, thank you so much for joining me. Nico the Chosen, Twana Dobbs, Jermaine J, Nikki 6, Lucas, Aborigines, Indian, aka Israel It, Marilyn Johnson, Ross. Much love to everybody for joining me. Until next time, horns up, peace out, good night, and good luck.